Back to the show. So I wanted to give a quick disclaimer on this that I am a casual Resident Evil fan. I don't really care much about the lore. I just went into these as standalone action horror games, and that's the way I choose to see them. I got into the series a couple years ago with the remakes and the movies from the early 2000s with the Alice chick. Again, I wasn't really not really into the lore. I kind of grew attached to Leon as a character. Immediately connected with that character. I already knew who Jill Valentine is, so I already had that advantage going into this. And the movies from the 2000s, a lot of people don't like them, I get why, but at the same time, I think that approach they had with having new characters in the Resident Evil universe is probably the smartest way to go with these popular franchises, because when you really think about it, you're never going to satisfy the diehard fans out there. It's never going to happen. Even if you had Jill Valentine or Leon starring in these movies, it wouldn't have made a difference. Someone would have found something to cry about. That's just how it goes with the gaming community, any community that's passionate about what they care about, which is fine. Look at it like Star Wars. Someone's always going to cry about something in Star Wars, just as an example. But that's why I kind of went into this movie trailer. I was like, okay, it's not Leon or Jill or Chris, but it's still clearly set in that universe. Like that one part with the bodies dropping with red and yellow, red and blue, red and white. It's clearly a nod to Umbrella. And it was like in the first Resident Evil movie with Alice. The first one ended with she's in Raccoon City. So they were always nods to the games even back then. Maybe not in the way most people would have liked, but you had Wesker, you had Nemesis at some point. You had Jill, even though she's out of character. And they all showed up, but the movies were just bad. At least this is somewhat original, and I'll take original over a straight up copycat any day of the week. At least that way there won't be that many complaints, even if it is bad. If it's bad, it's bad. But the original movies, there were like 6 of them. So somebody was watching them, and those movies were printing money. So that's the way I look at it. If they were really that bad, they wouldn't have made like 5 or 6 of them in the early 2000s. And again, as a casual fan, I just looking at it from a story perspective, and someone who's not really a diehard fan, I just think it's safer and smart just maybe add classic characters down the line like Leon or Jill, but for now I think it's smarter to just establish everything and then move from there. But my only issue with this is that they seem to be focusing too much on monsters right out the gate. They should be focused more on the zombies in the beginning. That's the only problem I have with the trailer. Like the one part with that whatever creature that is with the tentacles coming out of the door. Well, that's clearly it's like something from Resident Evil Biohazard. Something like that. I think they need to focus more on the zombies in the beginning and then move up to the monsters. You don't really see like the bioweapons until like RE2 or 3. 2 and 3 are basically the same story, so that'll be my only criticism of the trailer. Everything else looks pretty good. A little shocked that it's not coming out in October. I think this would be a great Halloween movie. And other than that, I don't really have that many complaints. Again, as a casual fan, not really interested in the lore per se. But like, if it can entertain me and if it can convince me it's still in the Resident Evil universe and tell a decent story, then I'm down. Because you look at the Netflix show, now that was just bad all the way around, but I never watched past the first episode, to be completely honest. After that chick jumped off that ledge towards a freaking ocean of zombies with no body armor or protection or weapons, I just turned it off and never watched it again. But at least with this, something.
Bad news, Sherry. This place is overrun with zombies.
What? That's impossible. They should have all been.
At least with this, it looks like something that
They should have.
I could see existing in that universe, even if it doesn't feature Leon or Jill right out the gate. Like, again, as an author, it's important to establish a foundation before you start adding a bunch of characters and different locations and shit like that. So if they want to establish Raccoon City in this one first with a new character and then have him encounter Leon at the police station or something, then do that. But I don't need to see everybody from the games like right out the gate personally, because then it's just going to be Easter Egg City and it's not going to be a good story. You could tell a story with an original character like they did back with the Alice movies, like Apocalypse and Resident Evil Resurrection, all those movies that came out back in the day. That, again, not great, but it was something, you know. I'll take it, you know. I don't need everything to be a plot for plot remake or adaptation, because it's an adaptation. Adaptations, whether people realize it or not, are not easy to do because of the massive fan base, because of the demand for it, because of the people that are going to be watching.
Great. Can you see any more from your position?
To see what they put in there, bit for bit, and it's like, I'm like, you know what, I'll take it, you know. I don't really have any complaints about the style they're going for. I'll take it. As long as it stays true to what Resident Evil is, I'm okay with it. Again, as a casual fan, as much as I would like to see Leon in this, I think this is the best way to go. Especially if you want to attract more fans and more new people like myself. Because going into Requiem, for example, again, I'm not like these people that are all into the lore and stuff. I could care less. Like, it's not Star Wars for me, so. And even Star Wars these days is not what it was. But again, you can easily introduce stars and what's Chris's group called? BSAC or something. I mean, I don't even know what they're freaking called. BSCC or something. You could introduce stars or something down the line, like the old school movies. They introduced Nemesis in the third one. I think it was Apocalypse or something. It looked pretty cool. I mean, like, again, from my perspective, I'm just not looking for every little thing to be exactly like the freaking games, because it's not possible. Because these aren't made by people that play the games. They're made by executives in suits and ties looking to make money. They're not making it from our perspective. So if you go into it expecting to see plot for plot, shot for shot of RE1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, Village, Biohazard, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's not reality. These are adaptations made by people looking to make money. And they're using the video game brand to spread money. That's their only goal. Personally, I was kind of hoping that Hollywood would stay away from video games but I think they see too much dollar signs now with the video game industry. And I've always seen video games as more of a safe space away from Hollywood's crap. But now Hollywood has got their eyes to video games because we got a whole bunch of adaptations on the way. Some are good, some are not. Again, Last of Us is probably the best that I've seen up until now, with the exception of the Sonic movies, which are great. No, for me, the best of the Sonic movies is probably the third one with Shadow. But those are great. Last of Us Season 1 is good. Season 2 is make or break. It's up in the air. I can't even really defend Season 2 anymore. I can't. It's bad. It really had no chance of actually being decent because of where it comes from, but I enjoyed it for what it is. For the most part, I think it was kind of sloppy. Just like I think that the old school Resident Evil movies were kind of sloppy with how they were done, but it's still better than nothing. And the Netflix show was an example of what not to do with series like this. Because again, even if they had Leon in this, Leon wouldn't be scared of any of this crap, so it wouldn't even be a horror movie at that point, it'd just be an action film. And I know we've all seen plenty of those. It'd just be freaking Jason Bourne in the zombie universe, basically. So if you want to make it a legit horror film, yeah, definitely come up with a new character like Grace from Requiem or Ashley from RE4 Remake. Because Leon's not going to be scared of any of this. Just another day at the office for him. So I can see why they wouldn't use Leon in this. Jill wouldn't be scared. Chris wouldn't be scared. It's kind of pointless to use those characters in the first place in this. And what I'm assuming is a reboot. And it's clearly a reboot, but... And came out pretty quickly after the Netflix series, only a couple years ago at this point. So I'm a little shocked at how fast they've managed to pump this out. I only heard about this maybe a couple months ago. So it's been in the works for a while. But I can see like this being like an Ethan Winters type of thing. Where he starts off a little scared and then turn into a badass towards the end. Like saying like I'm sick of bugs and shit like that. Like in Village. When he's finally killing all those stupid witches. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to see Evelyn or Jack Baker at some point, but if we don't and they just make new characters, even better. Because one thing I can't stand with these long-running franchises is just doing the same crap over and over again and calling it new. Like the stupid Darth Maul show on Disney Wars Plus. So I'm kind of okay with them doing this, approaching from this angle of new character trapped in the Resident Evil universe. I'm fine with that. I'll take it, you know. Can't really be too nitpicky these days with adaptations because if you don't like it, play the games. If you don't like the Last of Us TV show, play the games. Because it's tough to go into this and not be criticizing everything because of being a diehard fan. But as a casual fan, I can honestly say that I really don't care about the lore. I'm just looking to be entertained, and I think this will be this. I think this will be that. I don't know why they're focusing on the monsters right out the gate. They should be focusing more on the zombie effect, the zombie outbreak. Because again, the bio monsters don't really show up until RE2 and 3, which is when we really get introduced to Umbrella. Not that it was in the first one, but it becomes more obvious who the bad guys are when they get to 2 and 3. Maybe not the Leon or Claire, but since the one thing the monsters have in common is Umbrella, you know. Like we got the creature in the sewers, the tentacle monster at the house, looks like the Baker house or something. Like Marguerite Baker from Biohazard when he turned into that creature, wherever that was supposed to be. So yeah, I think they should even do a reshoot or something and go back to the drawing board and have more zombies versus monsters, because this dude is not going to be taking out no monsters on his first day at the office. It's not going to happen. Leon would do that, but this random dude, he ain't taking out no monsters. So unless they're going to kill him off in this, I don't understand why they're doing like straight up monsters in this instead of zombies. Anyone can run away from a zombie and kill a zombie. Big ass monster in the sewers, the freaking tentacle monster in the Baker household looks like. Yeah, that's not happening. Unless they got, I guess, again, unless this is going to be a standalone story and they kill them off and introduce somebody else in the next one. I don't understand where that mentality is coming from with the monsters per se. This one Rickman finally got back to the zombie stuff and away from the monsters for the most part until that girl creature thing showed up in the beginning. It only chases Grace, not Leon though, so I mean, there's always going to be bio monsters and whatnot, but I don't think they should be doing that right out the gate. Because even in the movies with Alice in the 2000 movies, there was a zombie outbreak in the beginning, and then they built up to Nemesis, and that crazy dude turned into a tyrant, I think it was. Pretty sure he turned into a tyrant, but I think that's the only way to do it, honestly. With the adaptations, they're just tricky because what I wanted them to do for Last of Us, for example, was to introduce more new characters, especially in the TV setting, and then once they inevitably kill off Joel, start following more new characters. Because it didn't have to be exactly like the games, didn't have to be only part 1 and 2. Could have easily kept this going for more new characters, but they just threw in the towel. And then they just canceled what I'm assuming was going to be season 4 or something, whatever they're going to do with that. They just lost an opportunity to just keep this shit going and tell more fresh stories in that universe, because no one said Last of Us is only Joel and Ellie. So they kind of dropped the ball with Last of Us. A little disappointed with that. So this is why I'm looking forward to this. More new characters in that universe. Maybe this guy crosses paths with Leon, like I said. We'll know until it comes out, but I think it's the safest way to go. But you're never going to satisfy the diehard fans. As a casual fan like me, I could care less about the lore, but as a writer myself, I can see the advantages of making new characters in that universe and just building from there, like building blocks, which is what they should do anyway. Can't really do that with Leon, because Leon just kind of kill everybody, because he's freaking Jason Bourne in Resident Evil. I'm like, Just another day at the office for Leon. He ain't gonna be scared of none of this. So I'm just like, I can see both sides. Like, again, I could care less about the lore, but as a fan, casually, I could see this doing a surprising amount at the box office. I can see this doing surprisingly well at the box office. I do wish this was coming out in October. It feels like an October movie. Putting out in September, I think it might probably won't cause them to lose sales, but it probably won't bring up as much as it could if it was an October film. Because I don't know who makes those decisions when it comes to releasing movies, but I did get a little bit more Silent Hill vibes from this, more than Resident Evil per se, but it still looks decent. Again, new characters in the Resident Evil universe, I think makes more sense than throwing in Leon or Jill just to say they're there. Because you had Jill and them in the old school movies, and those movies kind of sucked. I liked them for the most part. I never saw Welcome to Raccoon City. I probably won't. I heard it's really bad. The other ones I've seen, I own them on digital. The ones with Alice, because she's smoking hot, and I mean they're not terrible in my opinion. Again, casual fan, because just I'm too careless about the lore, but like Requiem was my favorite in the Resident Evil series of all time. It was 4, now it's Requiem. It just resonated with me on an emotional level. It's very, very unexpected. I didn't see it coming really. I was not expecting it, but it is my favorite one. And if it's up to me, I just adapt these in a television format versus a film. So I think Resident Evil would do better on TV, but they tried that and it failed. So I guess they got to do the movie thing again. Hopefully they can shoot these back to back, Lord of the Rings style, and not waste time in between a bunch of years making more movies. Just shoot them all at once and then release them back to back. That's really the only chance they got, I think, in my opinion, to really make sure this is a success. Because again, it would be tricky to put Leon in this. It looks like a straight up horror movie, and Leon will not be scared of any of this, really. This is why he's not the main character in Requiem, and I think Capcom said this much as well. That is because they wanted it's a dual protagonist story, but I'm curious if they can do that in this as well. But going off the trailer, this dude is clearly a courier, and I don't know what brought him to Raccoon City. I guess I'll find out when the movie comes out. But Constantine Film, I think that company made the original movies. Yeah, I've always liked the idea of average people in these broader universes, like for Middle-earth, for example, like Talion and Celebrimbor from the Shadow of Mordor games. Standalone stories in Middle-earth. Newt's Commander story set like 100 so years before Harry Potter. Stories like Cave Vess and Star Wars Outlaws. Nothing to do with the original films, but standalone stories that don't really move the needle that much. Yeah, we got this creature in the sewers, this bunch of hands coming out of the door, and looks like the Baker house. Could be the Baker house for all I know. And I'm like, I think they're going in a different direction from the games. Because this dude clearly not trained for any of this type of stuff in the first place, but yes, the bodies are sprinkling red and white, which is the umbrella. So they're already making nods to the games right there. But
Send some footage your way, Sherry.
it's a pretty original story. I think I'm kind of looking forward to it.
Yeah, hold on.
Yeah, I don't really have any stakes with the lore. Just I see these individual standalone horror stories, which is cool. Horror's not really my cup of tea anyway, so again, I could care less about the lore for Resident Evil. I don't care. So you put Leon in this, and the movie ends up being bad, then people are just gonna be pissed off anyway. At least if it's a new character, you can't really complain too much. And people always find something to cry about. You notice that type of stuff online with these fan bases, crazy ass fan bases like Star Wars people. Some are just straight up retarded, but that's besides the point. Like I don't really have many cards on the table when it comes to Resident Evil. I'm a fan now, but a couple years ago, outside of knowing who Joe Valentine is, I've never immersed myself into the series before I played RE2 Remake. And that's really where I started getting into it. And then the movies that I've watched with the Alice chick. I don't think she ever had a last name, just called her Alice. But she had like a bunch of superpowers and stuff, and I'm like, okay. I mean, they were bad, but I'm like, well, compared to the Netflix show, I'd rather watch those, honest truth. At least that one chick is nice to look at. Have Michelle Rodriguez in there at some point. Again, even if it's a shot for shot, someone's gonna find something to pick, and it'll never satisfy dire fans anyway. But I think it just has a chance to be. I think it has a chance of being good. I think it has a chance of surprising people, of bringing in new fans, and just telling an original story in that universe, which is what I'm looking for anyway. Again, I don't need this to be a shot for shot of the games. I was never expecting that. A courier that gets trapped in Raccoon City, running away from zombies, sounds like Resident Evil to me. I mean, this could end with him at the police station for all we know. Or he runs into maybe meets Leon or something. I can almost see them doing that, like setting up Leon or Jill. Maybe he runs to someone from Stars. Maybe he meets Chris. Who knows? That could be really cool. They could set up a bunch of sequels that way. As long as they shoot them back to back, I don't really see there being any issues with this direction so far. because I don't want to wait like 3 years for the next movie after this comes out. Because if they're really taking it from Resident Evil, they should know their fan base. And the fan base is not going to want to wait in between sequels, in between films. So hopefully someone over there is thinking in the long term, like, yeah, let's make a bunch of these back to back, film them back to back Lord of the Rings style. And then release them simultaneously. Maybe two in the same year. Who knows? Maybe one at the beginning of the year, one at the end of the year. Maybe do something like that. I just don't think it would work with the characters we all want to see at this point. Everybody wants to see Leon or Jill or Claire in the live action adaptation. I don't think a straight up horror film would work with those characters because they're so experienced with all this stuff. Like Leon wouldn't be scared of any of this. Jill wouldn't be scared of any of this. Chris, Carlos, any of them. Rebecca. So it wouldn't really be horror in that regard. But I like the idea of this. I think this had a chance to surprise people. As a casual fan, I'm just, I guess, looking for excuses to go to the movie theater again because there really isn't that much out these days. And with video game adaptations, these days just more like take what you can get because they're not always going to be great. Dude, these things from getting up. Even something like this right here. This dude is clearly inexperienced with this regard. He's a courier. He ain't gonna be taking out no monsters on his first day. So, unless they develop him really well, and maybe he had like military training in the past or something, I don't see this guy surviving this movie. Would be pretty ballsy. I think that'd be kind of interesting if he doesn't survive the film. That could be very interesting, actually. I kind of hope they go that route, honestly. I don't need everybody to survive every encounter in every freaking movie. I think it's more interesting if the heroes lose once in a while, like Avengers Infinity Wars. Makes it more interesting. It's like, it gets kind of boring when the heroes win all the time. Like if this guy gets killed off in this, that could be kind of cool. I think that could really be an unexpected twist that most people would probably never see coming. I mean, like, you expect them to survive, and what if they don't? It's Resident Evil, not Disney, so I wouldn't really be counting on happy endings for everybody that's written to the Resident Evil universe. So it might be better to kill them off and then just keep introducing more new characters down the line. If it does well. If it doesn't do well, then oh well. I'm not losing any sleep over it, personally. I always have the games, so I just... From that perspective, I just, just like I said, with example like Last of Us, started off strong, didn't end great with the last season. I think it had a lot of potential. I don't think they realized any of the potential. I think they killed Joel off way too early, and they didn't set up enough new characters to take up the reins in potential future seasons. Which is kind of why I'm gravitating to this, because it's a new character in the Resident Evil universe. It was like you wouldn't expect Jill or Leon to be scared of any of this, would you? So I'm like, well, lesser two evils would be to make a new character set in that universe, and then just build from there. Probably the smartest way to go, honest truth.
Gotta fill this up.
I kind of don't like them using monsters so early on.
Let me guess. You must be the town lumberjack.
I think they should definitely do building blocks and build up to introducing Umbrella and the bioweapons that they make there, instead of doing whatever they're going to do in this film. That big ass monster in the sewers and the creature with the tentacles in the house. I'm like, yeah, this isn't the character to do that with, because it's clearly not experienced with this type of stuff, and it's way too much for the first film. So I don't know what their approach is with that, but it's not very smart, in my opinion. That's an example of just taking the brand and that's doing whatever you want with it. But if they did the zombie route, I think it would probably receive more of a positive response. But again, either way, people are going to find something to cry about, so it doesn't really matter. Because again, from what I understand, Welcome to Raccoon City had everybody in it. Then there was that animated film, Death Island, which is like an Avengers Resident Evil movie, which is pretty cool. Unless you're gonna do something like that. All those characters have experience with zombies and all that. This guy does not. So I'm a little confused as to why they're having a bunch of monsters in this so early on. Doesn't really make sense for the first film. You want to do that in part 2 or 3 where this guy is established, or if he survives this film, if he survives the film, for one. And he's more established and like an Ethan Winters type character. Starts off scared and then becomes a badass towards the end. Which they could do. They could kill him off, which I think would be more interesting. That's probably what I would do. I just could probably kill him off towards the end. Just to show their stakes. Because people don't really take risks anymore in Hollywood. Or just in general, in my opinion. Like, TV shows these days, they don't take risks anymore. Everybody just walks away scot-free. Like George Martin said once that when you have these adventure stories, people don't get killed. Like they have these big ass battles, like the Battle of Pendor, and no one dies. People died in Lord of the Rings, of course, but as an example, like people are afraid to take risks in these stories. It's like basically saying that if you're going to write an action war story to show people getting treated like how they get treated in war. So like a horror movie, I think it would be more interesting if he gets killed off or something. I can't really see him getting away scot-free. I think it would be more interesting if they ended with him getting killed and then introducing Umbrella, maybe comes back as a zombie. I don't know. There could be so many different angles they can go with versus the goody two shoes. Just walk off into the sunset crap that only happens in Disney movies. Like, take a risk, do something different. That's what I would do. Happy endings, I think they work better for kids, but as adults, I think adults have different perspectives when it comes to certain things after a while. Resident Evil should reflect that in a way. Like the first thing that you see when you go to Raccoon City and Requiem, it's a freaking big ass spider. So I'm like, Lily doesn't even really get scared of it. It's just like, I welcome to Raccoon City hospitality. Just another day at the office for him. But for this new character, it's like, it's a freaking living nightmare. And I think most nightmares, probably shouldn't walk away. Or maybe leave it as a cliffhanger and he ends up hiding in the Baker house or something. And then you see Evelyn or something like that. I don't know. It's like, there could be so many different things they can do. I just hope they don't take the easy way out and just have this guy magically develop superpowers like Alice in the other movies. And just maybe kill him off or leave him as a cliffhanger, then don't come back to him for a couple films. Introduce more characters, jump around different locations, and make it like a legit series. Introduce this courier dude, and then the next one maybe introduce someone else in another part of the world, and they get transported to Raccoon City, and maybe they cross paths. Something like that, you know? Something original. Again, it's Resident Evil, not Disney, so I don't need this guy to get away scot-free. It'd be more interesting if he doesn't get away, which is what I'm saying. Just because. I mean, either way, I'm kind of excited. I don't think I would be as excited if it was featuring Jill or someone. Not in a bad way, but it would just be kind of predictable because you know that Jill or Leon's going to get away. With a new character, you have no idea what's going to happen. So that's kind of exciting. I think that's why they're doing this way. I kind of appreciate that. And they're kind of taking a risk in that way because diehard fans are going to be like, oh my God, where's Leon? Where's Jill? Where's Chris? Where's Rebecca? Where's Carlos? And I'm like, so honestly, who cares? None of the original characters are going to get killed off in a movie. So there's no risk, there's no stakes with that. Like when you kill off a character like Darth Maul, and then you bring him back because you know he's going to kill off again, there's no stakes in this show. So I'm surprised more people don't realize, honestly. But I think this could be really good. Like Alan Wake 2 is kind of a horror game in a way. As a writer myself, I found the character pretty relatable. Sometimes it really does feel like your writing comes to life sometimes as a writer. It's kind of crazy that way. I don't know why it happens like that, but it kind of feels like that sometimes. It's kind of crazy. That's why I love that game so much. Just like, especially the second one. The first one was a little more scarier, I guess. The second one was good. One of the best sequels I ever played. Again, I'm not going to go into expecting too much because, again, a casual fan here, not really into the lore like that with this particular series. Care less. But I think this could be really good. I think if they shoot these back to back, it'll have a better chance of success without having to wait like 2 to 3 years in between movies. Because you gotta take risks as a creator, as a writer myself. It ain't easy to write good stories because a lot of ideas are either taken or just so like again. I think this could be really good. Not to repeat myself too much, but kind of excited. I like the idea of a new character in this universe. I think if they did a plot for plot of one of the games, I don't think it would really be received as well as something like this. So I'm kind of on board with this 100%. And I think going forward with more adaptations out there, I think they should take this approach. With the exception of like God of War or Tomb Raider, like obviously follow stories there, but for this, it doesn't have to be Leon or Jill in the starring role. Jill could show up and save this guy. Leon could show up and save this guy, which would be pretty awesome, honestly. Because like, depends on how far they're going into the timeline. Because stars could already exist. If stars exist, Jill is probably out there. It would be pretty cool if Jill shows up to save this guy at like the last second, like it always happens in Resident Evil. That would be pretty cool, actually. If Jill shows up to save this guy, or Leon, that would be pretty awesome. I don't really see that happening. Could be a surprise twist. I don't know, but that's what I would really be hoping for. Cause like this guy ain't gonna survive this. I'm just pointing it out right now. He's not gonna survive it unless he gets lucky and or something. He ain't walking out of this shit alive, not unscathed. He's either gonna turn into one of the zombies, he's gonna get killed, ripped apart, something. He just know what these guys walking away from this storyline. It's not happening. Those are my quick thoughts on the Resident Evil trailer. I'm kind of looking forward to it. As a casual fan, I think this has a chance to be really good. And if they shoot these back to back, a couple like 3 or 4 of these back to back, and just release them simultaneously, this could be a really cool movie series. I don't know. The original movies weren't that far apart year-wise. They were released them pretty quickly, from what I can tell. Because I don't think there's that much time between them. The old school movies from the 2000s, like Resident Evil Apocalypse, one was Resurrection, I think. The final chapter was the last one. So if they do that format, it could be really good, and it could keep people's interest. because people don't have attention spans these days. Just saying in general, they really don't. So if you want to get people's attention, just release them as quickly as possible. Maybe stay away from the main characters for this, I think. Probably the safest bet to keep things fresh. As long as they stay in the Resident Evil universe, should be fine. I got no problems with that. So, see what happens. If you enjoyed the video, smash that like button, subscribe, and keep your eyes peeled for future content.